It is 8 minutes after 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. And for the next 30 minutes to an hour, I'm not sure how long I'm going to do. I was pretty wound up today, and we did a pretty good job in 3 hours of broadcast breaking down the giant hoax that is the bin Laden killing of 2011, May 1st, 2011, May Day. But I wanted to just do an internet-only prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com stream out to folks ahead of tomorrow's broadcast to go over the spectrum of news and information, and a lot has happened since I went off the air a little bit past 2 o'clock Central Standard Time today. But if you're a new viewer watching this on the internet right now, or in a few days if you're watching it when it has hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube or other video channels, I want you to understand that I don't come at this from a partisan perspective of liberal or conservative or pro-war or anti-war. I am a political atheist. I'm a Christian religiously, but I am a political atheist when it comes to political parties and labels. I actually study the history and the facts and then have a political perspective on that in a context based in reality, not from a political label. And my position and my North Star, the pole star that I follow, is the truth and liberty and freedom and what empowers humanity and what is transparent and what is historical, not what I want to believe, the type of emotion that I want to buy into. Illusion and delusion. You see lots of homeless people on the side of the road on street corners who believe that they're the Pope or believe that they're a rock star or that they're a king. It's basically what a 3-year-old does when they do dress up and imagine they're a cowboy or an Indian if they're a little boy, or a princess if they're a little girl. And that's what I see with the American people buying into hype, whether it's the royal wedding or American Idol or Apprentice or Donald Trump. They're just going off of the surface. And the system, the social engineers, have raised generation after generation off the television and have incrementally gotten away with more and more lies and have tested the public and believe that they can basically do whatever they want. But how many times has government been caught lying to you? How many times has the mainstream media been caught consciously trying to deceive and mislead you and lie to you? If you had a neighbor who you had caught lying to you dozens of times, not hundreds, you wouldn't associate with them. You wouldn't give them the keys to your house when you were out of town. You wouldn't have them watch your children. But we have a corrupt ruling class that has been caught lying about foreign governments and countries they want to attack, that has been caught lying about economic issues and thefts they've engaged in, that has been caught lying about where banker bailout money went. We have a Western power structure, and other governments are corrupt as well. The West is still top dog, so it's the most corrupt, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as Lord Acton said, who have been caught engaged in chemical, biological, and radiological testing on our own troops, many of which were lethal. They've been caught killing foster children. They've been caught killing third world children as part of a test to see if they could get their agents to carry it out, to create basically societies of very ruthless, murderous people who enjoy evil so they can go out and recruit others and basically build an army of darkness and deception. And part of that army of darkness was the Mujahideen and Al-Qaeda, who fought another army of darkness, the Russians, starting in 1979 through the late 1980s. You notice I said both were corrupt, evil armies. You see, we're taught that one side's good and the other side's bad, and you're supposed to pick a side. And you do run into that in some areas of life and in your own personal life. There are areas where things are clear-cut decisions. There are good people and there are bad people. But I wanted to preface this information I'm about to get into here, breaking down the fact that Al-Qaeda is a CIA creation. Bin Laden was a CIA asset. And Bin Laden was used as the patsy, was used as the boogeyman, the bogey, to basically scare the American people and the people of the West into giving up their liberties and freedoms and accepting the central government's establishing classical police states. And that's the issue I want to raise here. This is about getting the left that had been antagonistic against war and torture and secret arrest, not because they, by and large, didn't like it morally, but because they didn't like George W. Bush and his branding, because they had an identity as liberals or Democrats. Now we see a lot of conservatives like Brett Bart not buying into the Bin Laden latest killing. They've claimed they've killed him 9 times. This is the 9th time. Talk about a cat with 9 lives. I guess he ran out, according to them, where he's not buying into it. And also because Bin Laden's been reported dead so many times, and there'd been the reports that he had been killed or that the Republicans had him on ice. I can see why he has skepticism. But that wouldn't have been acceptable just 3-4 years ago by mainline Republicans because Bush was still in office. Now, because they see that it's Obama in power, now they can wrap their mind around it because the evidence is there. Similarly, Democrats who were against torture, secret arrest, who didn't buy into the whole Bin Laden thing by and large, they had a spontaneous eruption of mindless flash mob of drunken college students. And I've seen videos, raw videos from on the ground of what happened within just 30 minutes of the announcement that Obama was going to be giving a speech from the White House. I've seen the videos, and they're like, yeah, we killed Saddam, he's dead. And the reporters are like, you mean Bin Laden? Yeah, him too. We're going to cruise missile everybody, the Syrians, the Libyans, yeah. And I noticed a lot of them were black, Hispanic. A lot of them had the look of folks that were not of a higher socioeconomic bearing, along with some yuppies that were there organizing the useful political fodder. And they were there to cheer Obama. He got tough. He had a big win. He launched an attack and killed somebody. So now they're owning all these wars. They're owning the empire. They're owning the torture and all of it, and the propaganda and the lies and Abu Ghraib, because it's their win. And it's basically sports team psychology. Cowboys versus Redskins, Coke versus Pepsi, Ford versus Chevy. I always wonder why grown men would stick stickers on their Ford showing a guy urinating on the Chevy symbol, or Chevy guy urinating on the Ford symbol, because that's their identity. That's their car. That's where their money goes. And that's their tribe, because humans are tribal. We're designed to get together and defend each other from what's normally a clear and present danger, and another tribe coming over the hill that wants to enslave you. But that is not the case of what's happening here. This is a more sophisticated system manipulating the human psyche and how humans operate, and it's so sophisticated, I wanted to attempt to break some of it down before I even get into the evidence of this latest Bin Laden killing being a contrived hoax of the greatest proportions. I noticed when I interviewed Hamid Gul, the former head of Pakistani intelligence and the former head of the Mujahideen today, he pointed out that this is going to create a folklore and empower Bin Laden as a great icon. And it will actually trigger more people launching terror attacks, because it's very honorable to be seen killed in, battle against the great Satan. And that the West is going to see copycats and folks that aren't just manufactured. And he did agree that this had all the telltale earmarks of being a manufactured event. See, it's sophisticated. But he went on to say that it would cause a lot of people to resist worldwide. That's exactly what the globalists want. They're masters. They want to create the enemy. They need the enemy. They want to create opposition, and they want to direct the ideology of that opposition. This is full spectrum dominance, going back hundreds of years ago with the Rothschild banks funding both sides of all the major wars in Europe. Because you see it as a perspective of French versus British, or French versus Spanish, or vice versa when it's the same interest financing both sides and then coming out on top in the end. See, people tend to look at things one-dimensionally. They don't look at the wider spectrum. But I've had the Washington Post, the New York Magazine, literally, I was looking at it, 30-plus thousand on Google news articles, not web articles, news articles written that mention our reportage of last night, this morning, and this afternoon, making fun of us. And they say, of course, Jeffrey Goldberg at the Atlantic Magazine, of course Alex is on the job, and of course it's a conspiracy. Like I just now saw the news last night that Obama was going to, almost said Bush, Freudian slip, same thing, different skin color, was going to be announcing that they'd killed bin Laden, and I just rushed out and said, it's staged, because I don't believe them. Now, as much as government's been caught lying to us, I wouldn't even say that would be bad. I mean, an admitted questioning of what I'm being told by people that have been caught lying and fabricating in both parties and the entire bureaucratic government class over and over again, that's just common sense, of course. But it wasn't that. It was that I had a full spectrum understanding of history, and I had already been told that this was coming, and I had said it over the years and broken down how it would be rolled out. And then you've got all the suspicious things of being dumped in the ocean and them putting out a fake photo and then later saying it was fake, and now they're going to have more photos, they say. And, oh, his last tape just so happened to get made after years, so don't worry, they'll have that. And then all the hype that Al-Qaeda's going to hit us now. Oh, sorry, him being dead doesn't mean all the wars end after 10 years. There's going to be more, and there's nukes buried all over America, and just cartoonish level propaganda. But see, Jeffrey Goldberg isn't trying to impress me with his information. He's not trying to have an intellectual full-spectrum argument. In his full-spectrum dominance, he's targeting his readers as if they're a bunch of stupid monkeys. And just taking one piece of many, and I didn't have time to read a lot of them, but there's 30-something thousand of them. 30,000 plus and growing in one day. Less than one day. It hadn't been 24 hours yet. We're live right now on a Monday night, 7:21 Central, 8:21 Eastern. And his article starts with the birth of deatherism. This is the new term. You question Obama's birth certificate, it's birthers. You question 9/11's official story, admitted to be a lie, you're a truther. Questioning needs a label. It needs a, if the government said the sun was green and you said it was yellow, they'd say, sorry, you're not seeing it correctly, it's really green. You know how to tie your shoelaces. It is a conspiracy theory. You're supposed to be a drooling Prozac head. But then his article goes on and says, of course Alex Jones, again, I'm not reporting on this because it's about me. It's an example of how they operate. Of course, Alex Jones, the conspiracy monger, of course he's on the job and exposing the conspiracy, because everything's a conspiracy. And, oh, look at this blog from the Cheech and Chong website. He didn't link to our article. He linked to the Cheech and Chong website, like that would discredit us that Cheech and Chong's website had posted it, or a big fan site had posted it. And then he went on basically excising my article without showing the name or the facts of the State Department official that I interviewed 9 years ago, the #2 person in the State Department who was there when bin Laden was a CIA asset, and he came on the show and admitted all that. And I'm going to go over that as a Steve Pachenik. We're going to be getting him back on the show. He just reached out to us today. His number had changed to my computer from 9 years ago, but he reached out today, probably be on tomorrow, along with Hamid Gul again. None of my facts, none of my proofs, just, oh, Cheech and Chong say it, and, oh, by the way, he's friends with Charlie Sheen, as if that would discredit me. They threw everything at it because these political people are all about winning. That's running the society, keeping you in the dark, and it doesn't matter how much disinfo there is. They just make a joke out of it. But, no, I didn't just get up this morning, or I didn't just start writing articles last night and decide this was a conspiracy. And it wasn't just the history of bin Laden or the 8 other times they claim they killed him before this 9th time. It wasn't the fact that I know he's CIA and Sybil Edmonds, the FBI translator, heard at the top of al-Qaeda working with the CIA on the day of 9/11 in the transcripts and told Congress that and was gagged.